Hello all, I welcome you all to this fifth edition of Buzz Night. Thank you so much for joining, and I'm pretty sure you're all as excited as I am and looking forward to the session. In the previous edition, we did a hands-on workshop on, the incremental value thinking about the product, on how lean your product could be while you do an MVP. And I'm sure we received a lot of great feedback from you all. Thank you so much. And moving on for today's session, it's not a hands-on workshop. It's going to be a little different. We'll be doing a seminar kind of a thing where we will have our speakers presenting their thoughts. So the topic is quite interesting. Data is the new oil. Very cliche statement, right? No, there is something on top of it. As my friend always says, data is the new oil. Hence all the data projects are a slippery slope. To ensure we don't fall into that kind of a trap, and we ensure we thrive in the data projects, and to make sure we are actually busting all our myths about these kind of data projects, we have our great speakers joining us tonight who have been doing some wonderful job ThoughtWorks by delivering a lot of good value in their respective streams in their data projects. And we thought it would be a great value add to all of you as well. But before handing it over to them, a quick call out. First, request you all to be on mute. Second, please reduce the parallel internet activities so that you can preserve your bandwidth as we all are working from home. And third one, we have a dedicated Q&A session where you can post your questions for the speakers for tonight. And fourth, in case of any comments, polls, and some kind of concerns, feel free to use the chat functionality below that you have. And that's all. And with that, having said that, we would jump into what's in store today. Fallacies to avoid in the data projects. So giving a bit of introduction about our speakers for the evening, Shweta. Shweta comes with 13 plus years of experience completely into business analysis as well as project management. In the last 13 years, she has played several roles and has been contributed well in different industries. And she's working with ThoughtWorks as a lead consultant. Also, we have Mohit. Mohit has an experience of 9+ years, again, into business analysis, project management, as well as program management. And even he's worked on several industries, and his key interest is to align the data strategy with the business strategy. So looking forward to hear a lot of good stuff from you both. So Shweta and Mohit, over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Akansh. I'll quickly share my screen.
Sure.
Welcome all. It's good to see you getting some time out of a weekday and joining this session. We'll just get started. So data projects, they continue to generate excitement, but the real world results, they are a bit disappointing. If we talk about to the business stakeholders, so it gets a little on the way that they are not as successful as it seems to be. The intent of this talk is to share where data projects miss the trick and what all measures we can take to avoid this. So even if you get a little uncomfortable, you get a chance to think about things after it. So pardon me in advance. I'll move to the next section about the agenda for today. We're going to talk about data buzz. We'll also do some number crunches about the success rates. And the next on the card would be failure reasons. And then definitely the mitigation, how we can minimize the failures and get these data projects from a failure state to a successful state. Then we will have a quick recap. We have put in a framework, a simple to carry a takeaway framework, which you can carry back and relate it to how you can actually make a data project successful. I'm sure I need not to explain the right hand picture. So it's data everywhere. I'm sure, we hear digital, getting digital and all that stuff every time. So the backbone is data. So this clearly depicts every day, every moment we just hear about data. Okay, next one, this is more of a throwback picture. I would request you folks not to go a lot behind, but just a decade, in the past, and think about how data as a term, data as an industry, data as a technology has evolved. So I'll give you a few glimpses about it. So the first one is progression of CDO. So I'm sure you must be hearing a new role in, the C-suite, Chief Data Officer. I don't think it existed a decade before. It came into existence starting 2012. And if I talk about current stats, almost 70% of enterprises, they have this as a role and they have a dedicated CDO. There are a lot of expectations out of this role, but the prime one is aligning your data strategy with the business strategy. And this is a more established role and definitely it's there to stay. Next, I'll talk about the annual reports. So if you see all the leading organizations in their annual reports and into their business mission statements, they definitely state that data is a critical business asset. They are striving to become data driven in their analysis, thinking, and they also view data as a basis for innovation and competition into the global world. Next, I'll just move to the next one, which is digitization of world. So if you see mankind currently, it's on a quest to digitize the world. And the focus of this digitization is anything and everything, be it in business workflows, be it into your personal streams of life. So we interact with data a lot. And just to give you some interesting facts, this is a picture which shows the number of interactions per capita per day. So this is just 15 years of tenure, starting with 2010 to 2025. So if we just see how many interactions a person would have in a day. So by 2025, it is reaching whooping around 5,000. What it means is we would be having one interaction every 18 seconds. And if you see a period from 2020 to 25, so just in a 5 years of time frame, we see around 250% of growth. So that also speaks about why we hear data everywhere. And this in turn also links to the global data sphere. So that is the size of data which world is sitting across. So if you see again these 15 years of time frame, it is expected that by 2025 the global data sphere that's going to reach around 175 zettabytes. So if someone is curious to know what this zettabyte is, it's trillion gigabytes. And if I talk about this data size of 175 zettabytes, if every person with an average speed of 25 mbps tries to download this data, everyone in the world, it's going to take 81 days. And if a single person does it, it's going to take 1.8 billion years. So just imagine, everywhere, we see, and as Akansh mentioned, data is the new oil. It's actually, one of the key factors for innovation. And that's where we stand globally from a technology standpoint. Now I'll hand over it to Shweta to walk us through the next sections.
Thanks, Mohit. Hi, everyone. So now that we understand, how data has just, evolved over the few years, I'm sure we also have an insight into how big of investments every other organization is making into data projects, right? So let's take a quick poll because I just want to do a sense check of what is your understanding of, what percentage of data projects are actually a success. You will see the poll question on your screen and let's just take a few seconds to answer that and look at the results. Okay, yeah, I think we can end the poll, Mohit. Okay, so we see a majority of people saying, less than 20% of data projects are actually a success. And let's actually look at, some of the industry standard surveys that have been done and projections that have been done and see how it actually looks like in the real world. Mohit, can we go to the next slide? Thanks. So if you see from 2005 to where we stand today, way back in 2005, Gartner has actually done a survey and predicted that 50% of the data warehouse projects will actually have limited or no acceptance through 2007. And be through 2012, 16, 19, not much actually has changed. Or in fact, I should say it has changed, but towards, on the negative end. Because even in 2012, it was anticipated that only 40% of BI projects would actually be a success. And if you actually look at from 2019 across various industry standard surveys, right? Gartner, New Vantage, VentureBeat, all of them predict that through 2022, 80% of the AI, analytics, data science projects, everything that all these organizations are actually investing in will either have very minimum or no business adoption. And some might eventually just stay in alchemy, as in they might never see the light of the world, right? So this is alarming. We understand data is important. We understand how data can help us to innovate and come up with a lot of products. But yet, this has been the success rate of the data projects. Now just take a minute and I want you all to put your answers in the chat as to why you think, could be one or two of the key reasons of the high failure rates of the data projects. You can put your answers in the chat. Okay, we have rapidly changing customer behavior. Yes. Business adoption, absolutely. Right, while the answers keep coming in, yeah, model success, articulated business questions. Yes, all of these are right answers. So based on our experience and the research we've done, we've actually categorized these reasons of failures into 4 themes. So the first one being the vision and objectives. And I see every other answer that's actually coming up in the chat group will eventually fall into one of these themes. So collaboration within the organization and governance around the data projects and data governance itself, and also technology. So we're going to be in the next few minutes talking in a little more detail about each of these themes and what is it that you can do to avoid the pitfalls in data projects. So let's look a bit more into vision and objective. So, and we can look at some of the key reasons for failures that actually fall under this theme. So the first one will be either there is no vision or no clear vision at all in terms of kickstarting a data project, or sometimes it could be that you've completed a project, you've delivered some results, but you've actually ended up solving a problem that nobody cares in the business, meaning it might not even be a pain point in the business, but you have given some data insights towards it. And the next being business needs not met. And this is one of the key reasons of why the data projects are not being adopted, because they've not really met the business needs or the business expectations out of the project. So as business analysts, project managers and the architects and the leaders who drive the data projects, what are certain things that we can actually do and take care of to ensure that we don't fall into these pitfalls? So the first is define your value proposition of the project. So a value add could be anything, either to generate revenue or improving your existing processes to cut costs within the organization, or anything of that sort. And defining this upfront will actually help you to focus on the task that you have in hand, and also gets you halfway through towards securing the funding for your project. And the other key important aspect is to remember that treat it as a data product that you want to deliver rather than a data project. So the difference being, rather than providing data to the business, we should focus on providing data insights that the company needs, through which they can actually use it for decision making, building personalized products, or even detecting fraud. I want to here give a very quick example that recently Ford has actually experimented with Google's prediction and mapping capabilities. And they have actually come up with the optimization of mileage in their hybrid cars. So, and this is based on the predictions about where the driver is going. And this one is clearly a data product because it's doing data analysis on the historical driving data and the knowledge about the road conditions. But the deliverable isn't actually a route that the customer sees, but in turn, it's actually an optimized engine usage and lower fuel consumption. So that's the difference between thinking of, I'm going to deliver you data versus I'm actually going to deliver you a data insight in terms of a product, which actually delivers some value for you and there is an outcome to it. And the next important thing is project value canvas. And here in the next few minutes, we've actually tailored the regular business model canvas to adopt it to your data projects and calling it a project value canvas. Let's look at what are all the key attributes that you will have to work with all your key stakeholders put together, build this project value canvas before kickstarting your data project. And if you look at the value canvas here, right in the center is the heart of the canvas, which is actually your value proposition. So this is where you have to identify and define what value you're adding to the organization or what customer problem is it that your project is actually going to solve. And then the left-hand block, which is data, which is the main and most important element in your project. Is around identifying to achieve your goal or to provide value, what is the data that you actually need, and also to think through, is that data readily available within my organization or do I have to source it from somewhere else, and what are the other factors that I need to consider in terms of the data. And you can even further go down deep into what formats the data could be, and then what are the algorithms I need to further build on the data to make it more usable. So you can define it to as much detail as possible in the upfront itself. And then based on that, then you move on to your skills section, which is where you actually identify to deliver this project or to successfully complete the task in hand. What all different skills do you need? As in, who would be the key people that you actually want to onboard onto your project to make it a success, like your regular project teams, like your BAs, PMs, and especially because it is a data project, your data engineers, data stewards, and any other skills that you might actually need on this project. And then you would put together the output, and output is really key and directly related to the value proposition that you've actually defined, because value is a simple statement, right? But how are you going to measure your success, right? So in the output block is where you actually define the metrics based on which you want to measure the success of your project. And then integration is another key block, because we've seen in the surveys, and also I've seen some of you also answering in the chat that one of the key reasons of the data project failure is because of lack of business adoption, right? So this is where we want to focus that, okay, you have a solution in mind, or you have a way to go about solving certain problems in your organization. But once you come up with the solution, how is it going to be adopted into your existing business processes, right? To identify that and define is a key, because that's when you actually know which stakeholders are actually impacted internally and also externally, as in to the level of your end customers, and what all different tools and applications within the organization does your solution finally need to integrate with. It's important to define that upfront and bring those stakeholders also on board onto your project. Clearly the next thing is the stakeholders, to define both internal and external parties that are key, be it decision makers, influencers, or the people who actually do work on your project or even impacted by your project, to call them out and involve them upfront. And then customers are the key, right? So again, who are actually the end users of your product, or who are the end users who would actually be impacted by your product, right? So to clearly articulate that. And then data governance, which is really key when it comes to data projects. And we're going to cover a little more on data governance later. So I'm going to skip that for now. So once you've defined all of this, this sets a right tone in terms of why you've chosen the project you've chosen and what value is it clearly adding. And then it becomes easy for everybody in the project to be on the same page as to what their priorities are. Once it is defined, again, the key important finance. So you'll have to look at what it takes to deliver the solution. What are all the costs incurred versus what is going to be your return on investment. And then the technology, what tech stack and how scalable it has to be to define all of that is also important. Next, so this is a framework that you can actually leverage, and I strongly recommend everybody to do this on your existing data projects. Even if you're halfway through the project, it's still good to actually take an attempt and do this because it kind of revalidates the reason of why you've taken your project and if you're still on the right track or not. Next, we're going to move to the next thing, which is collaboration. So let's look at what are some of the challenges that we currently see in terms of the data projects. One, and very important, is that technology teams are actually steering the project. And then misalignment of the business roadmap and the technology roadmap. And again, business stakeholders join the party late. So as technology reshapes, right, every organization must adapt to remain competitive. And it is very important that technology teams and business have a common goal and a common roadmap. So, and this is one of the very big reasons, and it is something that actually fails upfront itself. So what are certain things that we can actually keep in mind when you're actually kickstarting a data project, right? Let's look at what approach you actually need to take in terms of collaboration, because too often data projects fall in love with the technical details of the solution but kind of lose track of who they're developing the solution for and who your key stakeholders are within the organization as well. So if you just look at here the visual depiction, you should always keep in mind that business should always be the key driver of your data projects, and technology in turn should always be an enabler. Definitely both can influence each other in terms of the business roadmap. Technology should be able to influence them, but they should never drive what the business roadmap should look like. And similarly, it's very important that any technical decisions that are made, technical architecture decisions, anything that is made, you ensure that it's aligned with the business roadmap. And even when it comes to the steering committees of data projects, right, in certain occasions I've actually seen it is completely comprised of technology team executives, which is not the right way to go. There should always be an equal representation from business and technology in terms of any decision making. And majority of the data projects don't really fail because technology fails or because process fails, but because of lack of adoption. And that's why we want to stress that the sooner you bring the business stakeholders on board with anything with respect to technical advancement that you want to make or technical innovations that you want to adopt, the sooner you bring business on board and build together the value along with them and get a buy-in from them, that would be the key for success. So with that, I want to hand over back to Mohit to cover the next two themes.
Sure. I'm sure now we have got some flavor around a couple of themes where we see why data projects fail. There's an interesting theme, which is governance. We're going to speak about it, how governance can lead to failures in the data projects. So governance is actually a term when we talk about it or listen to it, there is a negative picture that is framed. We envision it as a blocker. We think, something that is unfavorable. But trust me, this is more of a myth and we need to get over it. So if I talk across on the governance side, so because it's a data projects we are stressing, so I'll talk more about the data governance. What we have seen into our past projects and by our experience, that we completely ignore the current state of data governance. So when we try to get into a data project, we don't even care to understand at the first go, what is the current state of governance? Does enterprise has that governance? Is business happy with it? So all those questions, I think those are ignored at least in the first stages of the projects. This may look a little smaller, but when we talk about going forward, these become, one of the major factors for failure. On the data governance side, we also have seen that, we don't even think about compliances or any of the adherence when we try, checking the feasibility of data projects. So when I say compliances, it is more across the regulatory compliances. We have seen that when the POCs and other stuff are, shown across to the clients in data projects, they don't even touch base what is the compliance level. So it is completely, taken at a back seat or a separate. So that's not the way we should operate. These are couple of reasons. They could be more across the project governance side. Like, we don't even think, about the productionized aspect. We don't know, whether the things we are getting into, we could get to production. What is the governing body's take on it? So all these pieces need to be kept in mind right from day one, rather than uncovering them later. I'll quickly talk about, how we can minimize this. So if you see, we need to treat data as utility. So, what happens in major enterprises is they treat data as a luxury. So if I talk about luxury in the layman terms, it's about, jewelry, money, cars, and everything. So what we see is we enjoy it, but log them across so that, only approved people can do. Please don't do this with data. Data has to be treated as utility, like air, water, that is needed to live in. So, we need to actually get over that mindset that data is something very exclusive. If you will just go with that mindset, trust me, an organization cannot become a data-driven organization. We have to get into a frame of mind that data has to come to people rather than thinking that people would go to data. So this is one of the way we think we could actually improve and get data projects to success. Another one is, when we get into data projects, we need to actually think about creating a workable taxonomy, what we call the data taxonomy. We need to understand, we need to actually put in a unified view about, the data view of the organization. When I say that, we need to see where my data is located, what are its sources, which are my truth sources, and where it is replicating, where it is hopping, and what are the, the formats that are changing, so that when we try to build something on that data, we are sure that we are referring to the right set of data. So all these pieces at the day one could actually save a lot in the later stages. I'll give you a quick gist of what data governance is. So if I just talk about data governance, it is more across, formal controls or processes that are laid down in an enterprise that actually control and also help in the edit and access of the data. So this is more of a framework which we see on the data governance side. I'll try to touch base couple of them. So one is about the security. So with data being happening everywhere, security is a key factor. Security breach is actually a punishable offense. If I talk about certain of the projects I have worked, there is GDPR. I'm sure if few of you know about it. That is, another European compliance that you cannot miss while you're storing data or you're transferring data or transforming. There's another on the healthcare side, especially in the United States, where there is PHI and PII. Just to elaborate, these are health information, personal health information, and identified information. So it's a crime if the demographics and basic data about a person, or we can call it a member in those terms, is leaked or is actually exposed. So while talking about security, we need to keep in mind both at rest, which is where the data is stored, and also in the transformation. So it's basically called in technology terms, data, the encryption at rest and data encryption in motion. So we need to be very careful while taking data projects, and all these pieces we need to think from day one. Let's not ignore data governance, because on the later stages, what we have seen from our experiences, it becomes challenging. We have built the solution, but we can't get it into production. And one of the reasons is because there is a governing body or there is a security framework that has failed for this solution. So all these pieces we need to keep in mind. And if I talk about data governance, I'll touch base on another piece, that is ownership. What ownership defines is, like, for an example, we are, as part of a finance team. So somebody from the finance team needs to own the finance data. They should be very clear, what is my data set, how I can give the accesses, and if needed, how I can put in the audit controls. So this is a quick flavor, and then you can go back, refer to a lot of other details. And just to share, further things, data governance in itself is an emerging field. We have seen a lot of people coming across, asking for solutions about data governance. So there is a shift where, organizations are trying to formalize the data governance. I'll move to the next section, which is technology. Now, talking about digital and being a technology consulting company. So technology cannot be far from us. So on the technology sides, we have seen, lot of factors that contribute to the failures. So what is the notion, in the leaders that will put in the technology and the success would come out at the other end? Trust me, it doesn't happen. It's not that you just get a solution, a data solution, put it into your organization, and then you will get the insights. It's just a myth. You cannot buy a data solution. You have to, think about a lot of things, which I'll talk about into the, the second section. The another piece, what we have seen is people get fascinated by the jazzy or the fancy architecture that exists in the market. For an example, data lake, data warehouse, data mesh. Trust me, these look very fancy, and when you read the material, they look very, something that should be adopted. But it is not that every architecture or every fancy world is made up for your organization. There needs to be a lot of thought when you are trying to adopt or get into any of these architecture. The another one is, one of the reasons is tech stack. With the proliferation into the open source world, what we have seen, people just think, we have a lot of open source softwares, but, we don't think, what it would bring in addition. These have to actually be maintained. They have to be, kept across for number of years. And also we may be needing some of skills to, get into the tech stack. So choosing a tech stack is another factor where we just think for any XYZ reason, let me get in an open source, plug it out there. We need to understand, is there a need for this, whether I should go about it? So I'll come to how we can mitigate the technology, failures. Business leaders, they need to understand data science and AI concepts. So Gartner has clearly called in next 5 years, the leaders who would understand this AI and all these data jargons gonna stay as leaders. Others, you don't know what would happen to them. So what is the message we are trying to see? If somebody is at a leadership role and is trying to adopt or thinking to being a data-driven organization, think through what these concepts are, whether my organization is in that state that I can go across it. It's not that my competitors, my, other pieces in the domain, they are adopting it, then I have to do it. Could be my data is not in a state that I can put in AI. So all these thoughts have to be, thought across completely. Otherwise, it's going to be a failure. Next one is about the jazzy architecture I was referring to. The right fitment needs a lot of thought process. Let's not put in an architecture which we think is fancy or is it evolving, and then I think I relate or resonate to it. I need to see whether, my enterprise is into that shape. So all these pieces have to be thought across completely in deep. Don't take any decision in haste, because if you just get into that mode today, trust me, it's gonna be a failure, and then you're gonna be part of that 87% we have talked across. Another one is choosing of the tech stack. As I said, it's good to be, getting into the open source, but we need to see whether my tech stack or the architecture I'm getting into, is it scalable? Just think down the line. Today I'm sitting at a few petabytes or, maybe lesser gigabytes of data. But what happens in next decade? Is my solution which I'm thinking would be scalable, or it's just a sheer wastage? So I have to keep in mind. Also, we cannot ignore the maintenance part. Things can be plugged in easy, but it's going to take a lot of effort, both at the cost side, which would include the tech side of it, and also the skills that would be needed to maintain it. So whatever tech stack we choose, we have to keep it, cost effective. If we are not doing it today, trust me, we talk about ROI and this data going to give us benefits, it would shy away sooner than later. So this is all about the 4 themes which we wanted to cover in today's session. The next on the card, we will give up a quick recap. So this is a framework, again, completely built by us, bases our experiences, bases the data projects and the trends we have seen. So we have tried putting up everything into one place so that as a takeaway, when you folks go back, and if any of you is currently working into data project or you would be working in the future, this is a more of a cheat sheet or a reference. So when you just go through it, you can get a view of, at least I am playing, something which is a need of the hour. At least ask the right questions. So this is, we have put in a PPE framework. And if I talk about, there are 3 steps into it. There's a prep, there is a process, and there is an execute step. And they work in an order, just when you get into a data driven mode. If I talk about a prep here, so I'll just go through the bullets that are listed. The first one is a pain must be there. I think we have heard a lot about it. Let's not go about solving the problems which are not to be solved, which are, not important. So we need to see a pain must be there, which we are trying to solve by getting into, a data project. We need to define the key success factors. We need to quantify it clearly. It cannot be as simple as get my data into the lake. Sorry, this is not a value. How would you measure it, whether my, the project is successful or not? You can say that get my, these percentage of data so that I can put in my sales or any of the quantification. So we talked about into the value canvas that we need to reduce the diabetes patient by 30% in next 3 years. So this is more of a success key factor, which we need to define upfront while getting into a data project. We need to know your end users, which Shweta talked about, adoption plan. We need to actually get into a usability aspect right from day one. Otherwise, we're gonna be lost completely. Governance, I think we have talked in detail. It talks about the privacy things, the access policies, how the data is to be anonymized. Start talking it into the prep phase, not into the later stages. And then we have defined an exit criteria for each of these phases. Like for prep phase, it's value canvas. I think we have customized, we have shown you what a value canvas for a data project looks like. Spend some time when you get out of a prep phase, just put in the details, whether it is making sense, because that would give you a picture. Is it worth, getting further into this data project? So after this prep one, we have the next phase, which is the process phase, where, it's one team, one vision, one goal. I think we have talked a lot that technology and business, they need to align. They cannot, be apart and then we are just building across. So let's follow a single roadmap, both for business and technology. The next one is we need to be very conscious when we talk about tech choices. What would be my maintenance cost and scalability and other stuff? Another thing, let's not forget, is non-functional requirements, where scalability and, the other attributes of data loads, data chunks and everything come into the picture. Never ignore the non-functional pieces, even in data projects. There's another thing we have added, a business validation. This is very specific to data projects. So when you are, coming out of a process stage, which would be an architecture view, a first draft, what my data solution gonna look like, please go back and verify it with business. Trust me, business validation is very important for data projects. Otherwise, you won't be able to match the expectations, and your project or your solution could be lying and nobody is using in the world. And as an exit criteria, it's the architecture view. As I said, a first draft architecture view. Let's take involve all the relevant skill set to coming up with this architecture view. But we should be very clear what we are trying to achieve and how the architecture would look like. The last one is execute stage, which is more about delivery, where we have put in like implementation. It could be any models you want to achieve. Like we have a clarity what we need to do. Now it's more of a delivery mode. Integration, like, you know, what are my integration points? Whether I have to integrate with my existing tools and frameworks. When integrating, what are the challenges I could face? Are there any needs on the certification side? Are there any governing pieces on the integration? So we need to touch those points. So execute would talk about productionize your solution. And then it's the adoption, involve users into the, you know, as we say, the MVP stage, more, you know, minimum viable product. Let them use the platform, let them use the solution, let them give the feedback so that it helps you to improve undertaking a data project. And then there is a feedback. Every feedback that is coming from any of the stakeholders, directly or indirectly, needs to be taken and needs to be incorporated. So if you follow this, we assume, and we have seen it into our experience, at least some of the pains that we face in the data projects could be avoided. Yeah, I think this is, you know, more of a recap. Now I'll hand over it to Shweta to, you know, get us to the last sections.
Yeah, so with this, we just want to close with the note that data projects are only as good as the value they deliver. And if you see that the value in the projects you are working on is not articulated well, put your foot down, ask questions, get the answers, and then keep going. Because at the end of the day, there are two types of case studies, right? When it comes to projects, one is what not to do, and the other one is how good, you know, to do things. So I think with all the frameworks that we've put in place and walked you through, I think, you know, we will have the power to steer our projects into, you know, how good a case study it could be in terms of, you know, implementation. So with that, we want to end the session, and it's open for, you know, questions or anything from your past experiences that you want to share around data projects.
Any questions from anyone?
Bharat, do you want to share some insights from your perspective?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I was not prepared to talk, but yeah, so that is true. I think I really like the talk, especially on items like, you know, how exactly we focus on new buzzwords and really not worried about the, you know, the business aspects of that. That is a good point. Yeah, I think most of the projects generally start off, especially platform building is one pattern that we see. Most clients will come to us and ask us to build platforms instead of, you know, driving on use cases, right? So I think that's one other pitfall that I frequently see. Apart from this, I think this is also covered in some aspect in the talk here. Yeah, and that's it for now.
Thanks, Bharat.
Thanks, Bharat. And folks, thanks everyone for joining. We have a request. If you can just look at the message that Vishnu has posted in the chat, there is a form available. So request you all to fill that feedback form, because that's the way we take things forward, and it will help us to accommodate better sessions in the future. So looking forward to a lot of feedback from you all. So I hope you're able to access it. Can someone just click on the link and confirm, because I see some messages saying we're not able to access it.
And Akansh, there is a question. So from Manikandan,
Sure.
How do businesses react to the change management? Yes, it's a very important aspect that you've actually raised there. Thank you for that. So when it comes to change management, right, this again ties back to what we've covered in terms of collaboration to identify the key stakeholders in terms of the people who are actually impacted. It's very important to bring them on board onto your project right in the beginning. You have to first do an impact analysis of how it is going to change their existing processes and what is it that is different that they will have to do once you deploy the solution, right? And bring them on board, make them understand why the change is important and how it is actually going to ease their existing processes, right? And once they understand the value and upfront, they can in fact give their inputs into, you know, how it's going to work or how it's not going to work. And based on that, I think we should tailor the solution that we implement. And along through the journey as well, it's very important to keep them on board and keep them informed of what is happening and when and how they should gear up to adopt the change.
Any more questions from anyone on the call? We are happy to answer you.
Meanwhile, people come up with questions. Just a quick call out. Just in case if you're not able to access the form, it's totally fine. We have your email addresses. We'll be sending out the Google form to your email so that you can just put your feedback there. Yeah. Any other questions from anyone?
Hey, it's a good presentation. Just a thought to share, you know. So this is Saravana Kumar. I'm an application developer at ThoughtWorks Chennai office. So I'm working in a data project for one of our client, you know. So so excellent point and excellent thinking you have consolidated for us. Thank you so much. And one other thought is we are so you know, so if data project mean it is not a single team or single group of people owning the entire data and doing building product on top of that, you know, we believe you know, every project and every team is like a data team. They should contribute to that. They should own the data, you know.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah. I saw those things in my experience. Yeah.
Yeah, you actually mentioned it rightly. You know, it's not just about technology or business. It actually is, you know, a lot of other people involved, right? From data scientists, you know, the DevOps folks, you know, the business teams and whatnot in, you know, in a data driven. It's more of a cultural shift. What happens when you have to get into a data driven mode?
Exactly. Yeah, it is not a group of people who are making the company as a data driven company. It is everyone's responsibility. Everyone's I mean everyone's process or things should move towards that. No.
Agree. Yeah.
Okay. Well said, Saravana. The way we saw it, I mean, at least the way I understood it, I thoroughly enjoyed this session with respect to, I have my own set of takeaways, which include like the canvas, the value canvas, adding a structure and saying that, okay, data is not some kind of a privilege, but it has to be looked upon something like a utility. And that was a key takeaway for me. And also balancing balancing every time between technology and business. So that also stood out certainly. And I'm pretty sure most of us are excited to go back and retrospect our projects and see where we stand in terms of data and how well we're doing in terms of that. So thank you. Thanks, Shweta. Thanks, Mohit. If there are no other questions, I would like to take a moment to thank you both for coming up with a very insightful session. And also like to thank our sponsors for the night, ThoughtWorks, and also our BizNight core committee for making the session very seamless. And as I always say, thank you so much. Thanks for joining, everyone. We keep your eyes open and we will be coming back soon with the next edition of BuzzNight. Thank you. And please feel free to send your feedback. We'll be sending out an email. Thanks so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks all.